So today we're going to take a look at what I feel, or in my opinion, are 5 plus maybe a couple of little bonuses, bourbons that I think are vastly underrated. What exactly are those? Stay tuned. We're going to dive into those right now. Let's do this. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. So today we're going to take a look at, for me, 5 bourbons that I feel are vastly underrated for what it is that they offer, whether it has a lot to do with the pricing, the flavor profile, a combination of both, but a few bourbons that I feel are vastly underrated and don't get nearly enough credit for exactly what they are. So let's first kind of take a look at a couple of honorable mentions and ones that, again, are fantastic bourbons. They fly way under the radar for whatever reason, and but they offer up a tremendous value, and ones that I had to have on this list. They may not be part of the top 5, but I'm going to hit them as honorable mentions. So let's take a look at those right now. So out of the gate, here we go. A couple of honorable mentions. The Russell Reserve 10-year and the Old Forester Signature 100. Both fantastic bourbons. Both in that $30, $35 range, kind of give or take based on your market. But again, I think these are 2 bourbons that get overlooked far too often. We all get real caught up in all of these allocated bourbons, while ones like this just sit on the shelves and people pass them by looking for everything else. So I wanted to throw these 2 in as honorable mentions because they're both bourbons that I have a tendency to go to quite often. You end up with a few, bottles throughout the year. They're very easy to go to on a nightly or daily basis, or just something that is going to be tried and true. It's going to give you everything that you want from a nice bourbon profile. So there you have it, a couple of honorable mentions: Russell Reserve 10-year and Old Forester Signature 100. First out of the gate, we're going to go with the Four Roses Small Batch Select. For me, a couple years ago, this was very, very highly rated. For some people, was their bourbon of the year. And for whatever reason, from that time on, it's just kind of been ghosted. And I don't know exactly why, but it's a tremendous bourbon. I know a lot of times Four Roses doesn't always do very well in blinds or head-to-head, but on their own, in terms of what this bourbon specifically has to offer, is tremendous. I mean, it comes in at 104 proof. It's non-chill filtered. It's blended with, some really incredible aged bourbons, different recipes from Four Roses. It's just a slam dunk bourbon, and one that I still am shocked that a lot of people just don't seem to talk about nearly enough based on its profile. So right out of the gate, I think if you can find this, and it's pretty much everywhere. So if you can find the Four Roses Small Batch Select and you're a Four Roses fan, I say go ahead and try this one. Give this one a shot. I don't think you'll be disappointed whatsoever. Next up, a 2-for-1. So I think what it is that Wilderness Trail has going on still is mind-boggling to me as to why this brand is still not more popular, not more recognized for what it is they do and the fantastic whiskeys that they're putting out there. So I think some of it still has a tendency to be as a result of some allocation. But again, what it is that Wilderness Trail, Dr. Pat Heist over there are doing with their whiskeys, for me, I still am blown away as to, again, why these are just not something that's a little bit more talked about, enjoyed a little bit more often. I'm hoping that this brand continues to build, grow a little bit more, and becomes much more popular than it is at this moment. Again, I'm still blown away as to just why these bourbons have a tendency to sit on the shelves based on their flavor profile, general availability. So I can see where maybe that has a little bit to do with why this one's not talked about nearly as much. But again, if you can find something from Wilderness Trail and it's not something you've had before, definitely give them a try. I do not think you'll be disappointed whatsoever. Yep, I said it. Knob Creek 9-year, for whatever reason. Again, this is another one that just doesn't get talked about nearly enough. 100 proof bourbon, age stated, 9 years old. It's what a lot of people in the whiskey bourbon world are always asking for. And when you go to a liquor store, grocery store, wherever it may be, you look up on the shelf, what do you see? Knob Creek 9-year, 100 proof. I don't know if it has anything to do with just the general availability or whatever it may be. But again, this is another one that I feel is vastly underrated and one that definitely deserves a little bit more praise as to what it is, where it's coming from, its proof, its age statement, so many great things that it has going for it. It's just one of those bourbons that sits on the shelf, doesn't get talked about nearly enough. There you have it, the Knob Creek 9-year. If this is something you see and you have a tendency to pass it up, stop passing it up. Try it. Again, right around that $35-ish price point. It offers a tremendous value for what it is. Like I said before, 9-year-old age statement, 100 proof, great flavor profile. It's a really hard one to pass up. And I think when a lot of people try this, it becomes kind of a daily favorite. So there you have it, Knob Creek 9-year. Again, one of the bourbons that I feel is vastly underrated. All right, so here we are again. Another 2-for-1. Maker's Mark Cask Strength and the Maker's 46. Again, I think what happens with Makers is so many people, when they think of Makers, you think of just the standard tried and true regular release. These two picks are not a comparison to just the standard Makers. If you give the Maker's 46 Cask Strength or the Maker's 46 a try, I think both of these, again, at that price range of between $30 and maybe $40 for either or both of these, they offer a tremendous value. You've got one cask strength, you've got, one kind of French oak, the 10 different staves that they're using to create the Maker's 46 profile. But again, very kind of traditional wheated bourbons. Again, one cask strength, one kind of a little bit of a different profile to it. But again, I think for what it is that they have to offer, they get passed up far too often. When everyone is out seeking all of these highly allocated bourbons, ones that are difficult to find, these guys have a tendency to just want to sit on the shelf. They're there always for the picking. If you can find, again, the Maker's Cask Strength or the Maker's 46, do yourself a favor, stop passing them up, stop thinking of these as just standard Maker's Mark. They're not that. Even though Maker's is good and has its kind of place, I think what the Maker's 46 and Maker's 46 Cask Strength have to offer is a significant upgrade and one that I think you'll truly appreciate. Last, but definitely not least, again, this is one that a few years back was so hyped up that people were out buying as many as they possibly could because the news came that the Old Grandad 114 was going away. Well, needless to say, it never really went away, and all of the hype kind of died out. Now when you go to a liquor store, generally speaking, you look at the middle to lower portion of the liquor shelves, and what do you see kind of staring back at you? Old Grandad 114. For me, in my area, this is generally $25 or under. And again, with that proof point, based on what it is, you probably got whiskeys in there that are in that maybe 6-7 year kind of range. It's a Jim Beam product, great price, great proof, offers a tremendous value, great flavor profile, all of that at or around $25. For whatever reason, this is just one that I see sitting everywhere. And if people are looking for a great value, something that, again, has some proof to it, I don't think you need to look hardly any further than the Old Grandad 114. I think it just, the full package of what it has to offer, it's a tremendous bourbon and one that I still feel is vastly underrated and needs or deserves even more respect than it gets. So there you have it. Again, if this is something that you have a tendency to pass on or don't look that low on the shelf, stop, take a peek down, look at that kind of bottom shelf area. You'll see some gems like this and the Old Granddad 114 just staring you in the face or asking to be bought. So there you have it, the Old Granddad 114, tremendous value, great price point, all of that, fantastic flavor profile. Hopefully all of this stuff helps you. So again, this is my opinion. More importantly, let me know in the comments below, what are a handful of bourbons that you feel are vastly underrated and deserve more respect? I'd love to hear your feedback on that. As to what your thoughts are on some of those. These are a few of the bourbons I kind of tossed around, got some feedback from people through Patreon and all of that as to, what are some bourbons that you guys feel are vastly underrated? And some of this was some of that feedback from that information that I got. Hopefully, if these are a few bourbons that you have a tendency to pass up or have thought about or considered buying, stop thinking about it, buy them. I think you'll be tremendously happy with the results of each and every single one of these. But again, more importantly, leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on a few of the bourbons that you feel are vastly underrated. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to another one of my reviews. Greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to follow me, you can on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of those places at My Bourbon Journey. If you'd like to help support the channel and become part of the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club, make sure you check that Patreon link out in the description below. So guys, thank you so much. And remember, it's about the journey and not the destination. Go find yourself some Old Granddad 114. Cheers, guys.